Hello, how are you? This is Josh reporting to you live from southern New York. Actually, I am in New Jersey because I went across the border to go to Wegmans to buy apples. So I'm in New Jersey buying apples. I live right on the border. It's 5 minutes away to come here. Why am I telling you? I don't know. It's fun. Stop me. I went to the movies again. Can't stop. Apparently won't stop. And I saw a movie called Sacramento. Now, the vibes off of Sacramento, if you've seen some of the marketing or heard people talk about it, maybe you haven't even, was kind of like, oh, is this a we have a real pain at home situation? It's kind of a, an indie comedy with two young actors kind of approaching early middle age who are, I guess they're like 30 somethings, right? So I don't know how things work anymore. I'm too old. Anyway, this is Michael Angarano and Michael Cera in a movie about two kind of estranged friends catching up and the dynamic of their relationship and the anxieties of their lives and what it's like to be a young person on the cusp of full-on adulthood when you can't kind of like pretend that you're, 19 anymore. This movie is not, it doesn't benefit at all from comparisons to A Real Pain, and those aren't really fair comparisons anyway. The stakes here are very different. A Real Pain, there's kind of some details that are similar in terms of, we'll get to, like, the where they come from and being written by their stars and those kind of things, and directed as well. But we'll get to that in a moment. But again, it's not really fair. There were kind of heavy stakes and themes at play in A Real Pain that are not here. This is really just kind of a movie about becoming an adult and the dynamics between friends and the way that we kind of rethink friendships as we get older, the way that maybe we abuse friendships to get what we need, the way we misrepresent ourselves in certain relationships, and the ways that we go crazy dealing with being an adult. And I gotta say, without getting into too much detail, that the Michael Cera character here in this movie is extremely me-coded. I really don't mind confessing to you that I related to his character a lot until later in the film when he reaches some heights of really insane movie behavior, things that people wouldn't do in real life that he does in the movie for business, for like antics. But yeah, other than that, I was feeling this. So I'm not overly familiar with Michael Angarano. I know his face. He's one of those actors that you've seen, but I looked up his IMDb and I realized I'm aware of him and all the things he's been in, but I haven't seen any of them. So I just know him through cultural osmosis. But as I was watching the movie, I started to, that I'm really, I always have the context when I go to a film. I'm a real industry player, and so I always know what's going on behind the scenes to some extent in the movies I see. But other than, Michael Cera and Kristen Stewart are in this movie, I didn't know a lot going in. And as I'm watching it, I think I had heard somebody say like, Michael Angarano's back. We haven't seen him in a while. I was like, okay. Again, I'm not terribly familiar with this gentleman. But as I'm watching the movie and enjoying it, by the way, this is a pretty good movie. That's the bottom line here. But as I'm watching it, I start to get a sense of like, wait a minute, I'm getting vibes here. And I said at one point, did he write this? Did Michael Angarano write this? It just had vibes of a part that an actor wrote for himself, which is strange because it's not a very flattering part, and but it smacks of like something an actor would devise for themselves to do. And not only, does it turn out he wrote it, he directed this film. His wife is in it. There's many other connections to his life in this movie. So this is a Michael Angarano joint. And for the most part, it's successful. It works. Again, it does not benefit from, nor is it fair to make a comparison to A Real Pain. It just, on its own terms, this is a very winning movie. I saw it on a Tuesday night at the movie theater, and everything's changed in the last few weeks. You have to wait on lines now because every tween in the tri-state area is going to see a Minecraft movie with their reluctant parents. So the theaters are busy, but not the theaters I go into, not the theater showing Sacramento. There were 4 of us in there, and 2 of them, I've described this scenario before, but Tuesday night movies tend to be me and the old married couples who watch the movie as if they were watching television at home, and they just talk out loud, full volume to each other the entire movie. What did he say? Who is that? Is he the guy from that thing? Doesn't he look like Sawyer, who I assume is a grandson? Anyway, so I sat next to this couple, and they were annoying, but God bless them. I'm more forgiving of this behavior in older people than I am in younger people. But anyway, at the end of the movie, I heard them say to one another, that was sweet. They liked the movie. The movie worked on them. They laughed a lot, and they said at the end it was sweet. And this is a pretty sweet movie. It gets at some pretty dark things about anxiety and about adulthood and about the fears we have of, and about, it's a very heady movie in terms of being about like psychological things, but it plays out as a pretty breezy comedy that is mostly a lot of fun. It does feel a little bit like it is, I don't know, like I said, I could kind of smell on it that it was written by its star and then discovered at the end credits it was directed and written by its star. And that's not a bad thing. It's just kind of like, all right, it's a vanity project. We had an awful one of those, a couple weeks ago with Hell of a Summer. Finn Wolfhard and his buddy, but they're kids. They have a long way to go. They can still make something out of it. But Michael Angarano, he's made one other film. I'm not familiar with it or its reputation, but I think this movie's going to get good buzz. And I think casting Michael Cera and Kristen Stewart was a good move. They're really great in it. And as I say, certain aspects of Michael Cera's character resonated with me, particularly his crippling anxiety and the way that he is not always so easy to live with or deal with. So another thing that I really like about this movie is that it feels like everybody has smartphones, and I assume that it's present day, but there seems to be a real conscious decision to portray the world that this movie takes place in as like a 20th century, not 21st century kind of an environment. The cars are a little older. There's just a lot of like, and maybe this is just the nature of Sacramento, but even when they're in LA in the beginning of the movie, it just doesn't feel like, I don't know, it seems like there's a real attempt to make this movie feel kind of analog and old school, and their road trip feels very much like something that would happen in the 90s or something. So I, as an old, appreciated that. I guess I would just say that, in the end, as I hinted earlier, like some of the characters' behavior, because you have to have like a crescendo, you have to have things build up to a kind of a denouement of some sort, and the characters go to some pretty insane places at the end of the movie. It's not an over-the-top movie, really. There's just a thing that a character does that is just something that someone would not do in real life, would only do in something that was written a certain way. That's my only real criticism. But this is a nice movie, and you could do a lot worse. And everybody has a nice time, and it's nice, and it was sweet. I agree with my pals who wouldn't shut up throughout the whole movie. It was sweet. All right, that's my review of Sacramento. I will be back soon with more goodies, and I thank you for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.